What a match. However, I am here to talk about Arsenal and not the Bayern Real Madrid game. So let's start with a little bit of a positive. Arsenal were into the Champions League semi-finals for the second year running, which, by the way, has never been done before in the club's 140-year history. So, yeah, big moment. But let's not lie to ourselves. That game was a rough watch, and that record means nothing unless we go on and win the tournament. So let's break down the 0-0 draw against Sporting that sends Arsenal through on a 1-0 aggregate win. Job done, but not exactly inspiring. You know, I could leave it there, but we do have to go into detail with this because coming into this, Arsenal had the advantage of a Kai Havertz winner in the first leg. And you're thinking, control the game, be solid, maybe pick them off, get one goal, try to rest some players and make it easier for the weekend ahead. Give some life to the fans. Instead, it was a bit cagey, nervy, a little bit lifeless at times. One shot on target each. That's it. And Arsenal's came from a Zubimendi header straight at the keeper, and Sporting probably on balance had the better moments, if we're honest. They hit the post just before half time. And there were a couple of those kind of, what are you doing? Like, what are you thinking moments? We had David Raya nearly gifting the one, and then Saliba with, quite honestly, a rare mistake. And that's the first half. You know, the second half didn't really change either. Trossard did hit the woodwork from an odd-looking header, which almost was in slow motion. And at the other end, there was a late scare when Sporting hit the side netting. Basically, that's your highlights package. You know, an XG of 0.93, which is the lowest in the Champions League this season. And yes, it felt like it. But in terms of the personnel and the players, we have got to start talking about this front three because Martinelli, Gyökeres, and Madueke, on paper, you could argue there's pace and there's power there. But in reality, it just doesn't work. I have mentioned this countless times, but there is no balance in that trio. They've now won 4, drawn 3, and lost 2 when starting together. It's not great. And individually, Gyökeres couldn't really hold anything up. Madueke was as inconsistent and frustrating as ever before going off. And Martinelli worked really hard. You know, he showed some excellent work in defence, but nothing really came off for him. It all just felt a bit meh, like there's no chemistry there. And it speaks volumes that things improved when Havertz and Jesus came on. It's 2026 now. Come on. And I'll admit, for all their faults, when those two did come on, at least the ball started sticking and we looked like we had a little bit more structure. There was times where Jesus actually showed a little bit of technical nuance and managed to kind of control the ball and go past the defender, which is something that we didn't see for the entire time the original trio were on the pitch. Now, in contrast, while the attack was frustrating as ever, the defence absolutely did what it needed to do. And Saliba and Gabriel were as good as usual, marshalling the defence, not letting Suarez have, a sniff at goal. But the fullback changes were so needed. Now, Hincapié was seriously good. Awesome in second ball situations, far more imposing than Lewis Skelly has been recently. And I am so glad Piero Hincapié is back. Meanwhile, Mosquera at right back was solid, aside from a couple of aerial moments, and it was a great rotation from Ben White, who quite frankly has just looked out of sorts as late. So it's good, good changes for Mikel. It wasn't incredible, but I will take it when we know we've got Man City coming up. The midfields, I mean, not amazing, but Zubimendi looked so much better in and out of possession. It wasn't a vintage performance by any means, but it looked like the positional change that he had with him moving forward a little bit more than helped. And it seemed like he was taking some risks, which is what we've been asking and crying out for. You know, some of those more penetrative passes, some more of the kind of shielded and disguised passes. And I'll give a shout out to Eze as well, probably the only one consistently trying something in the final third. His technical quality at this point is so obvious in the team because the rest of the team is just dominated by physicality. And we need him to be fit. You know, without him in the side, we just lack any dynamism. We just do. Now, the big concern now is obviously Madueke going off with the knee injury. It's not ideal with what was coming up, but it did mean we got to see another appearance from Max Daumann, 16-year-old. And I'll be honest, Barcelona would start the lad. You know, he doesn't hide. He gets on the ball. He drives forward. He looks like he was born to play at this level. It never phases him. So while there are concerns with Madueke and his fitness, especially with Bukayo Saka out, we just got to play Max now. We have to. And Arsenal are through. We're on the favourable side of the draw. Next up, Atletico Madrid, which basically means prepare yourselves for a full-on Simeone experience. It's not going to be pretty. It's not going to be that fun, but it will be a battle. And having said that, Atleti are not the defensive force that they used to be, and we've already put 4 past them in this campaign. So as far as the draw goes, we couldn't have asked for any better. Before that, though, Man City. That is the real test. Because grinding this one out is one thing, but going to the Etihad and actually imposing yourself is completely different. So, final thoughts about this. Look, was it good? No. Do we care? Not really. Now, Arsenal are in the semi-finals. Like I said, it is history making. And that, I guess, is what matters, that we get there. But if we play like that in the next round, we are going to have problems. And if we play like that at the Etihad, we're going to have big, big problems. But what do you guys think? Are you just happy we are through? Or are you a bit worried the attack still is dysfunctional? Thoughts on the minor bust-up between Trossard and Arteta as well? I haven't even got into that. Let me know in the comments. And as always, don't forget to like, hype, and subscribe to the channel. You guys know football. I just talk it. Folder out.